everybody. If you can please quiet down, I'll go ahead and get started. Today, our country pauses to honor the life and legacy of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., the face of the civil rights movement, the one of many who put his life on the line for Black Americans to have equal rights. Perhaps you've heard of the saying, behind every good man is a strong woman. Mrs. Coretta Scott King was exactly that. She was the woman behind one of 20th century's most influential figures. She was the lady of the movement. She was Dr. King's pillar of strength, ever devoted and faithful. In an article in the Tuscaloosa News, Charles Steele, former president of the Southern Christian Leadership Conference, a role Dr. King once held, said that he relied on his wife for advice and wisdom. He goes on to say that she was in the background, but she had a lot to do with his confidence. She was intimately involved and played a role of a wife, but internally people knew that she had a lot of influence in the decisions that Martin made, even strongly influencing her husband's stance against the Vietnam War. After his assassination in 1968, Coretta established the Martin Luther King Jr. Center for Nonviolent Social Change, otherwise known as the King Center in Atlanta, Georgia. It's been a global destination, resource center, and community institution for over a quarter century. Nearly 1 million people each year make pilgrimage to the National Historic Site to learn, be inspired, and pay their respects to Dr. King's legacy. Her goal after Dr. King's death was to continue to share him with the world. The King Center is dedicated to educating the world in the life, legacy, and teachings of Dr. King, inspiring new generations, such as you all, to carry forward his unfinished work, strengthen causes, and empower change makers who are continuing his efforts today. All of this was made possible because of Coretta. She envisioned that the King Center be, and I quote, no dead monument, but a living memorial filled with all the vitality that he was. A center of human endeavor committed to the causes for which he lived and died. As we honor Dr. King's life and legacy today, we would be remiss to not honor Coretta as well. We are who we are because of the road paved by both Dr. King and Coretta and the countless others who walked and worked alongside them. We honor each person who gave their time, talent, and ultimately their lives to ensure that the world would be better and brighter place for Black Americans and for all. For the next few minutes, you'll hear from your peers, your friends, and your students as they share why we march on, why we rise up, and why we share our stories, focusing on the positive through all the turmoil that faces our lives today. This is our way of honoring Dr. King. I ask that you please silence your phones and put them away and take out your AirPods so that you may give these folks up here your utmost attention as they share some of the most vulnerable pieces of themselves. Thank you and enjoy.
I wanted to start with the questions today. Have you or anybody you know made a snap judgment on a person of color based on their physical appearance? Or have you fallen victim to a widespread stereotype of prejudice? If you said yes, I have a question for you. Are you now assessing that person based on facts of what you want to see rather than challenging your initial bias? As someone who has spent her whole life dealing with predefined prejudices, I have to teach myself that some individuals just can't help themselves. But it is up to me to prove that to that person that their stereotype is incorrect. I am more than my stereotype is the topic of today's MLK's chapel. Whether you're a Black, white, Hispanic, Asian, or whatever it is that you identify as, we all face the challenge of being judged based on stereotypes. It is important to remember that our true worth and character cannot be determined solely by our physical appearance or ethnic background. We must strive to break free from all these prejudices and treat each other as individuals, recognizing that we are all unique and capable of so much more. Behind all the negativity are beautiful souls, each with their own stories, talents, and dreams. It is essential to look beyond the surface and embrace the diversity that exists within our society. Everyone deserves to be seen and valued for who they truly are, regardless of any preconceived notions. By recognizing the unique worth and potential of each individual, we can foster a more inclusive and empathetic community. As you listen to the speakers today, I challenge you to look beyond their physical appearance or background and truly hear their messages. Each person has something valuable to contribute, and by opening our minds and hearts, we can learn and grow together.
Hi, I'm Naya, and I want to read for you today a poem by Margaret Walker. But before I do that, I want to give a brief biography for those of you who haven't had the pleasure of reading her work, just for better context. Walker was born in Birmingham in 1915, Birmingham, Alabama, in 1915. I won't spend my time up here trying to string together words to try to express any sort of great suffering experienced by being a black girl in the Deep South. But instead, I'd rather take this time to celebrate her beautiful accomplishments despite this. She first graduated with a BA from Northwestern University, and a lot of people would have stopped there. She could have continued her career and would have been much more educated than a large percentage of black writers in the 20th century South, but she didn't. Instead, she went on to get her PhD from Jackson State College while being a professor there, She also completed her first novel, Jubilee, about a slave family based on the life of her great-grandmother. My point in telling you these things is to urge you to understand and see that there's black excellence in every timeline. You just have to look for it. And enough of me. This is For My People, a poem by Margaret Walker. For my people, everywhere, singing their slave songs, repeatedly, their dirges and their ditties and their blues and jubilees, praying their prayers nightly to an unknown God, bending their knees humbly to an unseen power. For my people, lending their strength to the years, to the gone years and the now years and the maybe years, washing, ironing, cooking, sewing, mending, hoeing, plowing, digging, planting, pruning, patching, dragging along, never gaining, never reaping, never knowing, and never understanding. For my playmates in the clay and dust and sand of Alabama backyards, playing, baptizing, and preaching, and doctor and jail and soldier, and doctor and school and mama and cooking and playhouse and concert and store and music and company. For the cramped, bewildered years, we went to school to learn the reasons why, and the answers to, and the people who, and the places where, and the reasons why, and the days when. In memory of the bitter hours when we discovered we were black and poor and small and different, and nobody cared, and nobody wondered, and nobody understood. For the boys and girls who grew in spite of these things to be man and woman, to laugh and dance and sing and play and drink their wine and religion and success, to marry their playmates and bear children, and then die of consumption and anemia and lynching. For my people thronging 47th Street in Chicago and Lenox Avenue in New York and Rampart Street in New Orleans, lost, disinherited, dispossessed, and happy people filling the cabarets and the taverns, other people's pockets, needing bread and shoes and milk and land and money and something all our own. For my people walking blindly, spreading joy, losing time, being lazy, sleeping when hungry, shouting when burdened, drinking when hopeless, tied and shackled and tangled among ourselves by the unseen creatures who tower over us omnisciently and laugh. For my people blundering and groping and floundering in the darks of churches and schools and clubs and societies, associations and councils and committees and conventions, distressed and disturbed and deceived and devoured by money-hungry, glory-craving leeches, preyed on by facile force of state and fad and novelty, by false prophet and holy believer. For my people standing, staring, trying to fashion a better way, from confusion, from hypocrisy and misunderstanding, trying to fashion a world that will hold all the people, all the faces, all the Adams and all the Eves and all their generations. Let a new earth rise. Let another world be born. Let a bloody peace be written in the sky. Let a second generation issue forth. Let a people loving freedom come to birth. Let a beauty full of healing and a strength of final clenching be the pulsing in our spirits and in our blood. Let the martial songs be written. Let the dirges disappear. Let a race of men now rise and take control. Thank you.
9 Words by Isabel Rodriguez. You don't belong in this group. You're too white. These are the 9 words I was told 2 years ago, the first time I was ejected from a community I felt so closely related to. In the Bronx, New York, where I've lived my whole life, all of my friends are either Latina or Black. So, as a Puerto Rican, I felt comfortable being around other Latinas and Black people. However, I never expected that I would soon be rejected by people of the same heritage, just in a different setting. But what was the problem? Why wasn't it accepted? Apparently, for this group, I wasn't brown enough. So then, what was I? Not white, because I had been Puerto Rican my whole life, and nothing could ever change that. And weren't Puerto Ricans people of color? I couldn't understand these 9 words because no one had ever told me that I was too white to be Latina. From this moment on, I began to question my identity. Was I a person of color? Did I truly belong to a different racial group? I felt like I had been gaslighted into believing that I was the wrong shade for a Latina, but at the same time, I felt like I was wrong to assume that I was a person of color when I don't look like one. So I went on a quest to decipher what these heartbreaking 9 words meant and concluded that I was what is called, in this society, a white passing Latina. Well, at that time, I didn't even know what the term meant, but immediately I had a feeling that it wasn't something good. I could already feel the pride I had of being Puerto Rican begin to slip away from me, and so I began my research to understand who and what white passing people were. I searched every dictionary I could find, and I was unsuccessful with each search. I could not find a singular, explicit definition of what white passing is. I wondered, and still wonder today, why would a term so powerful and prominent not be in the dictionary? Despite the absence of a definition, I came across many articles that discussed white passing and how the term is actually offensive. Shocking, right? One would think that having the ability to pass as white brings privilege, and that's correct, it does. There are many people who look white and therefore receive better health care, housing, job opportunities, you name it, privileges. Some of those people take advantage of that privilege in order to avoid dealing with the racism that comes with their heritage. But at the same time, there are people like me who do not want to be white passing because it denies our Latina heritage. Society forgets that Latinas do not have to be brown, that Latinas come in hundreds of different skin colors and shades, and for someone to say that I am too white or not brown enough is ultimately saying that I am not Latina enough. It says that my skin color defines me and overrides every other aspect of my heritage and my culture. In order to break the notion that all those that come from Latin America are brown, it is our responsibility as white Latinas to amplify the voices of Black and brown Latinas. We must tell the world that our only authentic commonality among all Latinas is the geographical region of our origin. Latina people encompass a spectrum of skin colors, speak diverse languages, possess distinct cultural elements and traditions, and represent a wide array of ethnicities, making our community exceptionally diverse. Dr. King fought for there to be freedom and equality in America. Of course, this fight came with much racism from the white community, but there was also a bit of resentment from the Black community. Black people felt that Dr. King was asking for too much, specifically when he prompted them to forgive and never hate their oppressors. I mean, who would want to forgive an entire race that has done nothing but inflict pain, racism, misery, and much more? This experience of mine urged me to condemn my oppressor because I had dealt with so much pain and confusion for so long, I couldn't imagine ever talking to this person again because interaction would only be a reminder of those past struggles. However, Dr. King is right. We should not hate our oppressors, we must forgive. We cannot live peacefully if we possess hate in our hearts. Dr. King once said, we must develop and maintain the capacity to forgive. He who is devoid of the power to forgive is devoid of the power of love. I have decided to stick with love. Hate is too great a burden to bear. I, Isabel Rodriguez, a white Latina, am choosing to forgive in the power of love. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Nat Graham.
Hi, my name is Melina
Marie Johnson Heyer. Today we are here to honor the memory of Martin Luther King Jr. and the legacy he has left behind.
As MLK fought for equality, he faced multiple challenges and setbacks, but kept going and moving forward, fighting for what he believed in.
We chose the following poem to highlight the struggles MLK overcame despite all the discouragement he faced.
This is Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. You may write me down in history with your bitter, twisted lies. You may trod me in this very dirt, but still like dust, I'll rise.
Does my sassiness upset you? Why are you beset with gloom? 'Cause I walk like I've got oil wells pumping in my living room.
Just like the moons and the suns, with the certainties of tides, just like hope springing high, still I'll rise.
Did you want to see me broken, bowed head and lowered eyes? Shoulders falling like teardrops, weakened by my soulful cries.
Does my hauntedness offend you? Don't take it awful hard, 'cause I laugh like I've got gold mines digging in my own backyard.
You may shoot me with your words, you may cut me with your eyes, you may kill me with your hatefulness, but still like air I'll rise.
Out of the huts of history's shame, I rise.
Up from a past that's rooted in pain,
I rise. I'm a black ocean leaping wide, welling and swelling, I bear in the tide.
Leaving behind nights of terror and fear,
I rise. Into a daybreak that's wondrously clear, I rise.
Bringing the gifts that my ancestors gave,
I am the dream and the hope of a slave. I rise,
I rise,
I rise.
Hi, my name is Nicholas Warren,
My name is Alana Clark.
and we'll be talking about the inescapability of segregation and its consequences in our modern world, specifically Alana's experience in the Bahamas.
Historically, because of segregation, there were predominantly white institutions and there were historically black institutions. Some may have the belief that because the Bahamas was a predominantly black populated area, we didn't have segregation, but that is not true. White institutions such as the Royal Nassau Sailing Club and St. Andrews International School still existed. Even though there's no longer segregation per se, those institutions that were previously predominantly white are still perceived as such. And if you are black and attend the school or go to the sailing club, you are viewed as whitewashed, rich, and snobby, basically saying you might look black but act white on the inside.
MLK helped remove the ability to segregate officially, but we still have much work to do in our mindsets and the invisible segregation that results in stereotyping. For instance, the most common stereotype used past and present is that if you're white, you're rich, if you're black, you're poor, if you're black, you live in the hood, and if you're white, you live in the suburbs. If you're black, you go to a PWI, if you're black and you go to a PWI, you are whitewashed and stuck up. But if you go to a government or a public school, you are ratchet, ghetto, or poor. MLK did an incredible job at decreasing segregation, but unfortunately, people are still segregated nowadays. It's just not as seen or reported. Thankfully, the ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort and convenience, but where he stands at times of challenge and controversy. You cannot stop fighting to eliminate the invisible barriers. Let MLK be an inspiration to everyone, and even if you fail, use it as an opportunity to begin again. This time, better. Thank you.
What's up, y'all? I'm Ezra Mendes, and I'll be reciting a speech by Malcolm X. As far as this upheld charge that is attributed to me is concerned, evidently he has been misinformed. I don't believe in any form of appeal. I don't believe in any form of segregation. I don't believe in any form of racism. But at the same time, I don't endorse a person being right just because their skin is white. And oftentimes you'll find that people like this, I mean that type, when a man is just whom they are taught to be, and a fellow nerd is just fitness or question in some philosophical or some in their conclusion of their mind. Usually, the type of conclusion or label that is put on us is a label only designed to project an image which the public finds distasteful. Me as a person, I'm a Cape Verdean Dominican, and I don't find that my identity should be used as something to restrict who I am. And I believe that everyone should be able to try to achieve their dreams no matter what label you were assigned at birth. Thank you for your time.
feeling comfortable in my own skin. Growing up, I saw my skin as a weakness. I sat in classrooms counting how many people looked like me. I watched Disney movies wondering why I could not get my happy ending, because apparently nobody wants a fairy tale with the brown girl. I learned quickly I was not the beauty standard, and nothing I did was ever enough. My skin was a disease I could not cure. I was a snake that could not shed. I was a stranger in my own body. And every time I looked in the mirror, I wished I was different. I begged, pleaded, and prayed to be different. And maybe I am different, but my skin is not my weakness. It is my greatest strength. It is not why I fall down. It is why I continue to choose to get back up. I have finally broken free of the stereotype chains that have tied me down for my whole life. I am not a hashtag. I'm not a trend. I'm not one of the good ones. I've taken control of my own narrative, and I choose to love me for me. Reprogramming my brain was not easy, but it is necessary. My skin is who I am and who I continue to be, and if you do not see my skin, then you do not see me. My skin is a representation of the leaders who risked their lives so I could be here today. The bloodshed, death, and violence they lived through so I could live in a world that is less divided. My skin carries with me the dreams that I have for future generations, a dream that my children grow up being unapologetically themselves. They see the melanin within us, and it's not a curse, it's a blessing. The mirror is their friend and not their enemy, and you don't need to look like Princess Aurora to feel pretty. My skin runs deep with the history of being oppressed, but is planted in the pot of growth as I move and sway, dodging people who cannot accept me and accepting people who want to love me. My skin welcomes change as those around me learn to see it and don't think to run the other way. My skin is finally my own, and the scars I grew up with are healing. We are healing. I am healing. I now live in a world where I can go to a boarding school, and I can get a high level of education. I could even run for president if I wanted to. I can blaze my own path as I create the future I want for myself, and I can seize every opportunity I've earned. Brown is powerful. Brown is strong. Brown is beautiful. Brown can change the world. And brown is me. Thank you.
Hey everybody, I'm Adriana Bailey Stewart.
And I'm Azariana Greta.
We wanted to ask here who feels that they are an ally by a raise of hands.
Okay, good. Well, let me propose to you why being an ally is great, but it's not enough.
Being an ally is someone who supports people for who they are or supports a movement.
Being an ally is someone who supports but doesn't fully take part in it.
Being an ally is someone who says they support a movement but doesn't help make any changes.
Being an ally is someone who says they'll be there for you but won't stand up with you.
Being an ally is someone who puts up a sign saying Black Lives Matter but hasn't attended a protest.
Being an ally is someone who supports you in the dark but won't support you in the light.
So we recommend you become a partner.
Becoming a partner means that when it's time to take action, you are immediately willing to stand up by the side of the person or the movement you're fighting against.
Becoming a partner means that while you may stand in the dark at times, you are ultimately ready to stand in the light with all of us when you truly need it.
Becoming a partner means that your actions of support will completely surpass you stating you will support.
Becoming a partner means that you don't just leave that Black Lives Matter flag on the front porch, you stand and wave it in the air as we all fight for peace.
Becoming a partner is showing that you really care about people and their struggles.
Becoming a partner is standing up without having to be asked and feeling comfortable while you're offering your hand.
So do you feel like an ally still, or do you feel like becoming a partner?
Make the changes and we will unite as one.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, Suffield. On behalf of celebrating Martin Luther King Day, I want to enlighten you all with a poem in a few words. Take the blinders from your vision. Take the pattern from your ears. And confess you've seen me shine. I'm too divine. Yet the tempo so compelling, it's the same who you look to blame. Yes, my drums are beating nightly. and the rhythms never change. As we know, the Civil Rights Movement was a transformative chapter in history, characterized by unwavering courage, resilience, and determination. Individuals who fought effortlessly for equality and justice. This movement sparked a significant societal shift, inspiring hope and fostering progress, ultimately leading to groundbreaking changes that continue to shape our world today. Today, I am determined to focus on the positive aspects regarding the Black History Movement, putting an emphasis on the little things that my people sacrifice. Without these sacrifices, I wouldn't have a strong relationship bond with my roommate, Ben Gorman. Guys like myself, Mr. Brown, Coach Dunbar wouldn't be standing here today succeeding. Or even the powerful relationships I built with Coach Gamir or Coach Sedden, or even the small conversations I have with OU wouldn't be possible. With that being said, I'm more than just an African American. I'm a 4.0 student. I'm an athlete. I'm an entrepreneur. I am Jameer Bishop. Thank you.
So many of us have been characterized by stereotypes. As you heard today, we are more than our stereotypes. As a collective group of people and as individuals, we have made it our mission to break free, dream bigger, rise up, and shout from the mountaintops who we really are. We will break free of societal stereotypes and boxes. We will gain partners over allies, and we will hold our identities with pride. We are the vision in Dr. King's dream. We are our ancestors' wildest dreams. Thank you for your time today, and you are dismissed.